it's Kat here from Budgeting My Way, and I promised I would show you a little look at my expense trackers the next time I came on. So I'm experimenting with yet another camera angle, trying to work out what might give you the best view, which has got the best lighting, etc. So fingers crossed this is okay, you can see it. So I use all the Budget Mom templates. So the budgetmom.com templates from her Budget by Paycheck workbook that I bought, the downloadable version, so you can then print off the sheets as you want. It's a good job because I spend a lot of money. So actually I think she provides 4 or 5 expense trackers in the workbook that's a printable version, which isn't available at the moment anyway. Well, I go through more than that between me and my husband, our different accounts and the cash envelopes, mainly the cash envelopes, admittedly. So this is a little check through and say, this is how I do it. And it's very much following the Budget Moms method. So what I do is I have a tracker that's for cash envelopes, of which in the month of May so far, I am on the 5th one of those. In fact, I've just realised it doesn't actually say on here, even though I know it is. Cash envelopes. I then have, there's a blank one. I then have one that's for our Barclays joint account, one that's for my husband's current account, and one that's my current account, which is almost also full for the month. So may well need another one for May. We're now a couple of days away from the end of the month. There's still a couple of bills to come out. Might be okay actually, might just get away with the NatWest one and should be fine with the cash envelopes. So how do I do it? Well, as I spend, let's go to the current accounts first. Let's go to my current account as an example. And here you can see there's a lot of white out on my page because, yep, I make mistakes. So I don't worry that these are all higgledy-piggledy and messy as long as it adds up at the end of the month. That's absolutely fine. So we start with the starting balance. So on this one, I'm going to unclip this actually just so it's a bit easy to move around. So on this one, the starting balance was actually a deficit. So I was actually in debt in my overdraft to almost £1,000. Major work on trying to get that down this month. That's the plan. Not going to get it down to 0, certainly, but I've invested a lot of time into trying to make sure that this is going to come down bit by bit each month. So you put in your starting balance, and then everything that comes out, you write down each transaction. Most of this is online payments or automated payments, and then you break it down by category. And then the categories are at the top of the list, top of the sheet. I just write down which category is which, and then I colour code them to make things a little bit easier. Okay, I keep a running balance as I go along. So as you can see, a couple of days away from the end of the month, I'm nowhere near as disastrous, but there is one really big bill still to come out of here. So there's still another £300 I think to come out, maybe slightly more. Maybe £350 still to come out, but I'm going to be much less than I was at much less debt than there was at the beginning of the month. So yeah, so you've got your how much is coming out, how much is coming in, your running total, your running balance. Okay, now then when it comes to the end of the sheet, not necessarily the end of the month. So let's do this one with my cash envelopes. Once I've got to the end of the month, I actually do the little sums already. So on this sheet, I know there was 122 went to food, 119.50 went to fun, 35.50 to car, 8 to health, straight beauty, 36 to my daughter, £10 towards entertainment, £2 towards charity, £5.50 towards craft, and £20 towards savings. Okay, so that's by adding up all of these amounts. Now you'll notice there are some that have got dots next to them and that say transfer. I don't include these in my totals. This is where there's been a transfer to, in this case, my Barclays account, because there was obviously an online purchase came out. So what I did was then took the money from the relevant envelope, which in this case it says food, can't remember what it was for off the top of my head. Oh, it was Nando's, yeah. So for some reason their till wasn't taking cash at that point, which is the weirdest thing I've ever heard. So I had to pay for the desserts at Nando's on my Barclays account using my card. And so I'd just taken £10 of food out of my food cash envelope, and I'm going to put it in cash deposited into my Barclays account just to balance those out and make sure that I'm trying to keep to the budget that was within my cash envelope for food, as an example. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I was writing down where I was transferring money from one cash envelope to another cash envelope. I've stopped doing that now. That's pointless. It doesn't make a blind bit of difference, and all it does is really confuse some of the sums. So that's why I've ended up sometimes with lots of white out Tipp-Ex on there, because of the fact that I've made an error in the way I've added it up. So yeah, so that's how I use the expense trackers. And if I do it each time I come to the bottom of a sheet, it means that the end of the month should get a bit easier, because all these sheets are already done. I don't need to do those. I only need to do the ones that have yet to be completed. And now I want to just show you something else about these. Okay, so I'm coming back to my current account. And what I do, especially where there's it's coming close to the limit of my account. This was an idea I picked up for somebody else on the TBM family Facebook group, which is the Budget Mum Facebook group. Somebody done this as a tip, is they actually wrote down where they've still got automated payments to come out, just so they can keep an eye on that balance and making sure that by doing an additional automated payment, or if there's been something that you've not accounted for, not budgeted for, come out, that you know where things are up to. So this is how I knew earlier when I said I've got about £350 to come out of my account. This is how I know. This is what I think is still to come out, and I just cross it off as it's already come out, just to keep a little eye to make sure I don't go either into an overdraft or past an overdraft limit, etc., and don't incur additional charges, because that's something that I've had big problems with in the past when I wasn't tracking my money. So that's the expense trackers. And when it comes to closing out the month, which I'll come to in a few days' time, and I will film the process of that, this is an example of where I will put all of that information. So all those totals that I've put on each sheet that said food, that's where I will add those all up together then and say, this is how much I've spent on food, this is how much we've spent on fun, etc. So what I did as a little tracker just yesterday actually is I wanted to know where I was up to on that spending, and that's given me and my husband some real food for thought, literally food for thought, because we have well and truly overspent what we expected to have done on food. And trying to look at what the triggers are for that, I know what they are now, and I think it wouldn't be a surprise, but I suppose we've just never really thought about it in the same way. So at this point in the month, bearing in mind that for the entire month, let's go back to that May, where did my money go sheet. There we go. I had budgeted that we would spend £580 on food. We're not at the end of the month, and we've already spent £635.30. So we've already spent over what, £100? No, we've spent £55.30 more at this point, but we've still got the end of the month to get through. And it's half-term holiday, so my daughter's off, so we're likely to spend a bit more on food this week as well. But we've already overspent on our food budget for May. Now, I knew before I started doing any form of tracking that food was probably our big issue. Too many takeaways, too many McDonald's, going to Costa. Oh, let's just pop out for some food. Let's not bother cooking. Let's eat out. I love cooking when I'm in the right mood. I'm not always in the right mood. And one particular week of this month, I've had some issues with my mental health. So I suffer with anxiety and depression, which is normally not an issue. I take medication, I'm reasonably stable, but actually this month I had a number of panic attacks that came in the middle of the night, which meant I wasn't sleeping. And it just put me completely out of sorts. So I would go to work still, come home from work and just want to go to bed and didn't want to do cooking. And because I'm the main person that does the cooking and the food planning in the house, that's had a real significant impact on our budget, because what we've done is we've eaten takeaways, we've been come home via McDonald's and had a McDonald's instead of our tea, and it all adds up. And that's the reason why we've gone over on our budget. I think we should be good on the fun element. We might just slightly go over that again because it's half-term holiday this week. So I suspect, well, in fact, I already know that we are going out on Friday, me and my daughter, possibly my husband as well. So there will be money coming out of the fun budget, but I'm okay with that. I'm feeling like that's more in control. The car hasn't actually got the main payment come out yet, which is why that's significantly lower than the 410 that I'd budgeted for. Health and beauty, 85. I know we'll have gone over because this just accounts for all of the things that's an automated payment, and I know I've bought nails, I've spent money on some beauty products that I hadn't planned in advance, so I know we'll have gone over on that. House, not all the payments have gone out yet, so I'm okay with that. My daughter, we've spent slightly less on that. Again, along with the fun, some of the money will come out of that again this week because of the fact that it's a half-term holiday, but I'm feeling okay that we're within where we're expected to be. Entertainment, the big spend has only just coming out this week, so I think that'll probably come up pretty much where it was expected to be. Charity, I'm quite confident that we will have slightly overspent on that, but only by a couple of pounds. Craft, I spent £42 on craft things, which I was not expecting. Well, I'm saying I'm not expecting, I had not budgeted for, so that's an overspend. Miscellaneous, slightly under, I'm quite happy with that. Clothing we don't budget for, but I did spend £30 on clothing. I'm okay with that because they were actually things for the wedding, and I budgeted for the wedding expenses and it came out of that, so I'm okay with that. Our income, I hadn't actually said what we were going to be getting. Our savings were slightly under at this point, but I know that there's going to be money left in the account that's towards our overdraft. And that I'd rather it went on that than onto savings. And debt, we have spent more on our paying off debt so far, and that's without that additional overdraft. So I've done a little bit of a rundown on where we're up to, and I'm kind of going to try and do this at least once a week now. I find that I did have a slight panic when I realised how much we'd already overspent on food, and it was before half-term holiday. So I did have a small concern about that when I saw it. So I think if I'd have done this sooner, maybe it would have just prompted us to go, actually, do you know what? No, husband, go to the supermarket, go buy a couple of pizzas. We're not spending £20 plus on a Domino's delivery. And maybe just worked it a little bit differently as a result. But I'm feeling okay. I'm feeling that we are still far more in control of our finances than we were. Hopefully, this month we will have overspent in terms of what we have as an income, but the money was sitting there in my husband's account waiting, which was for our holiday payment that needed to go out. Other than that, I think we're okay, and I'm happy that at least we are ploughing some additional money into debt. It's not massive amounts, but there is some additional money going against our debt, which hopefully will help pay it off sooner, pay less interest overall, and mean that in the long haul we'll have more available cash to be able to set aside for emergencies and to enjoy ourselves and pay for holidays without going into additional debt, etc. So that's me. That's where I'm up to. So it's a sort of like a little bit of a rundown on where am I so far this month, just before I close out my budget. But mainly to show you how I use the expense trackers. I say very much the budgetmum.com method, using the highlighters to do each of the categories. That then will allow me to do a little bit more analysis of our spending patterns at the end of the month. This will be our first full month, as in 1st to the 31st of the month. First time we've done that, because last time we only did it from the 16th of April. So it does make a big difference doing it for a full month and seeing the full month's patterns. And by knowing that, actually, if it becomes a bit of a habit that in 2-3 months I can see that actually we're routinely spending more than £600 on food, and despite our efforts, whether we've put in an effort or we're not doing that. Actually, it's silly to budget at less than that, because that is what we're going to spend the money on, and to adjust the budget accordingly. So I hope you enjoyed that, and say this is I'm trying to show you how I'm using the Budget Mom method and tinkering with it sometimes to work my way. Pretty sure this is a fairly direct, this is how she uses it too, but obviously the difference being that I'm UK based. These are UK based numbers, but I also want to show you this is real life. This is what happens, and things happen that mean you don't quite go to your plan. Doesn't matter, you can come up with another way of doing things. You can work around obstacles, or you can just accept that didn't work, move on to the next thing. One of the things that my husband and I did when we realised we'd overspent yesterday was we then went, right, okay, what have we got in the house? What shopping do we really, really need to do this week? And really pared it back and went, actually, do you know what? We have got enough ingredients in to do the vast majority of this week's cooking without having to go shopping. So we have got stuff for teas, we've got stuff for lunches. It might not be exciting for us, but we'd rather that than then overspend. And it means that that little bit of cash that we've got left, for example, in our fun area, actually we can go and do something really nice as a family on Friday or at the weekend without worrying that actually we're going into some additional debt. And that's what this whole method is allowing me to do, is to actually understand where is our money going, what we're spending it on. And I think the Budget Mum, Miko talks about, this is the first step, is the expense tracking, and she is completely right. Unless you know what money is going where, there's no point in setting a budget, because you won't know where to put the money into the budget, and there's no point in trying to do it otherwise. So yeah, first step, write down what you're spending your money on, and that is like literally, I round to the nearest 50 pence when it comes to our cash envelopes. From the current accounts, it's to the penny, because it's a lot easier to follow, because it's just, and I have the apps on my phone, so I look almost on a daily basis, every other day at the least, what's gone out of the account, write it down, highlight it. So there's a couple where they've not been highlighted at this point, so these ones haven't yet been highlighted just because I've not got my highlighters next to me, but probably by the end of today I'll have highlighted these up with the colours. Quite enjoy doing it, it's quite satisfying, but it's just really important that you know where your numbers are up to and what you're doing. I've rambled. I'm going to stop now. Please do subscribe if you want to see more. There will be more videos coming. One of the things that I've noticed today when I've gone and added in some numbers is I've actually had one of my incomes come in a lot earlier than I was expected, so I am about to do a paycheck tracker for that, because normally I'd expect that at the beginning of next month, and it's already arrived, so I'm going to do that now, so you can see where that money goes to as well. And so there'll be that, there'll be the closing the accounts at the end of May. I'll do that, and then obviously it'll be onto the next big paycheck, which will be the 15th of June, which might actually come in on the 14th of June, because I think it's a Friday, the 14th, because they don't pay at the weekend. So yeah, I'm going now because I keep rambling. I hope you enjoyed that. Give me a thumbs up, let me know, ask questions. I'd be really interested to see if anybody else is following this, especially if you're UK based, but if you're not, that's fine too. I was watching a really good one where someone was doing cash envelope stuffing with euros earlier today. It was just nice to see different notes, different things going on. But please do drop me a note below in the comments. I'd love to hear from you, and obviously subscribe if you want to see more. Until next time, this is Kat from Budgeting My Way. Bye. Sorry, I'm back again, just because the other thing that I do when I do my expense trackers, especially when I'm doing the ones about my current accounts and the automated payments that are coming out, is I also, on the paycheck bill tracker that relates to, is I also go in and write the actual amounts. Here we go. So, for example, I've now got Livewire for me, which is £30.75. Right, okay. So yeah, this just allows me to see actually how close was I. Are there any that have gone over? Which ties in with this sticker here, just for me to go, oh, right. I was expecting something to come out that was, I know, £10, but it's actually come out of 15. How's that going to impact on that end balance, and is it going to cause me some problems? So that's the other thing I do when I'm doing my expense tracking, is just to keep these paycheck bill trackers up to date. Okay, I really am going now. Bye.